Hi there. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to make a weaving. For this we're going to start off with a loom. You have some choices. One is that you could use a piece of cardboard to make your loom. Another choice is that you could use a few sticks. I've used 4. And here's how we're going to start. If you're going to use the cardboard, you need to make some marks at the top, same number at the bottom, and I've made little cuts to make tabs. If you're going to be using sticks, start with 4. I've already joined 3 of mine together. You can use just about anything. I've used paper bags or dental floss or even a bread twisty tie, whatever you might have handy. In any case, whatever you use, what I would suggest first is go diagonal on that and then cross the string over itself, go through the loop, pull tight, and then what you're going to do is wrap it around itself a few times to help it hold together. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just enough that it'll hold it in place while we're weaving. And then we're going to make a little knot. And then we have our looms. Now, to start our warp, which is the piece that's going to stay still the whole time, I've taped a piece of the end of my string on one end up here at the top. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go across it and go in the bottom tab. And then on the back, I'm going across to that next tab. And I'm going to go up. And I'm doing that on each time. So each time I'm going up and or down, and then I go around the back to the next tab. And then when I get to the end, I can do a knot if I want to, or if you have tape, put a little piece of tape there. And now I have my loom ready if I'm doing cardboard. Similar thing is going to happen if I'm going to use a cardboard loom, except for I'm going to be doing a knot. So one over the other to make a loop and through, pull tight, one over the other, again pull tight, so I have a knot. Now when I'm doing this with this one, I want to go down and pull it tight, but I'm going to go around it a whole full time, so not just wrapping around. I want to go all the way around it before I go back up. And that's going to do 2 things. One is it's going to give me a little bit of space so it looks more like a straight one, but it's also going to hold that in place better. So not just over and back, I want to go all the way around and back. And one thing that can help me with this is kind of bundling this up into a little ball. So I'm wrapping around, go back down, and I'm going to do one more time at the top and I think one more time at the bottom, and then we'll get going. And then when I get to where my last one's going to be, I'm going to wrap this around a few times. and tie a knot. And then we're ready to go. So then I can start my weaving. With your weaving, what you use to weave is up to you. I'm going to start using a bag from a grocery store. So what I did was I cut this into a long strip. Now I'm going to tie this on, a little overhand knot. Trim off my extra. And then I'm going to treat that like an over. So I'm going to go under and over, under and over, under and over, under, pull through. And just like any other weaving, when we return back, this one that I just went under, it goes back and goes over with it. So when we go back, we're going the opposite direction of what we just did, so that, and the way we can know that is that when I push these together, they should not overlap one another. And I'm not going to make all the way one more pass through that, so I'm going to be changing materials. So whatever you have you can use. I'm going to use a paper towel this time because that's something else that I have handy. So to join those together, I'm going to cross them over, pull down and up, cross them over again, and send one in through, and then kind of pull those two together. There we go. Trim off my extra. So whatever you use is up to you. Just make sure that you alternate going over and under. And each time you're going through, however you end, you wrap around. So since I went under this, sorry, I went off camera. Since I went under this, I've got to go over it when I'm going back. Otherwise, I end up undoing what I did. So you could also use fabric. If you have fabric, you could use string. The reason I'm using materials like this is that these things will end up, those things will end up, because they're kind of bulky, they'll fill this up a little faster than if I was just using like plain string like I used for my warp. So the warp, I want to use something kind of thin. But if I use thin things for my weft, what I'm sending through that, it's going to take a long time to fill this up. So it's really up to you. If you want to have lots of little pieces, go for it. I'm going to show you with this one thing I had done was I incorporated some objects that were just one pass through. So let me show you how you can do that, and then I'll show you how we can finish up. So like if I wanted to include a stick or a piece of cardboard and I just want it to be a one-off, what I can do with that is I'll do it the opposite of the piece above. So they don't overlap one another. But then this time, when I'm going back through with now my newspaper piece, I'm going to be doing the opposite of it. So I went over it, over that big thing that I just sent through one time. but otherwise it's the same. So if you want to incorporate some random pieces in there just for fun, you can do that too. I think it kind of makes it look more unique. So we would keep doing that until our loom is full, like say I have with this one here, where I've used paper towels, newspaper, a little fuzzy pipe cleaner, a stick, some woven garbage bags, cardboard, string, and then a garbage bag again. So let me show you how to finish this up and get this off the loom. What I'm going to do, once I've gotten as far as I want to go, you don't have to go all the way through, I'm going to go under this piece I just went over, make a little loop and send that through to tie this onto, tie my end to make it secure so it doesn't unravel on me. Alright. And then what I'm going to do is on the back, I'm going to bend these little pieces over and take them off. Same for this one I taped on. And I'm going to do this, and I'll do the same thing at the top. You might be able to just pull it off. You can see. And then what I will typically do with this extra string on both ends that's just hanging out is I'll send it through the next piece and I'll make a little loop by going under itself, and then I'm going to pull that tight to make a little knot there, and then trim off that extra. So I'll show you that again because that's a little confusing. I took my extra piece, I went under its neighbor to connect them, and then went under itself, and see that little loop there that I made? I'm going to send my string through that loop, and that's going to make what I'm going to use to make my knot, and that's going to hold that on. And now I have my weaving off my loom. You don't have to take it off, but then it's just its own independent thing. Happy weaving!